The Late Night Legends podcast is meant for an adult audience only. It may contain sexually oriented content. Content may not be suitable for sensitive listeners. Please be aware of your surroundings. Listener discretion is advised. Watch out.
Welcome to Late Night Legends. I'm one of your hosts, Kay. I'm here with Joan, Charlie, and Jessiy. Jessiy is going to be presenting our topic tonight, which is going to be the Queen Mary, to close out our nautical theme of July. So we will no longer be getting naughty, which is very sad. And Charlie, what was that? What was that?
It's my little sailor hat.
Oh, you bring that out now?
I think he had it last week too. Or no, when we were doing the interview with Allie, he pulls it out and I'm like, this is the wrong episode.
I know, but I was just running, just waiting for it.
I don't know why you took that off. Put that back on, sir. Sir.
Really fit over the...
There we go.
Perfect. I'm here with Captain Charlie. I gotta reintroduce you. Next week, we're going to be talking about Oban. And the week after that, we're going to be talking about haunted artifacts. So, Joan, did I get everything? No,
you did it.
No, I did not.
No, you didn't. I lied.
Jessiy, James, and Frank will all be off. So join myself, Joan, Charlie, and potentially some surprise guests. At least one, maybe. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
We're calling this the late millennial stream because all the old folks are going away and all the kids are gonna hang out. And by kids, I mean everyone has a frontal lobe, so we're old also.
Well, with that being said, Jessiy, did you want to go ahead and give your announcement?
Yeah. So this coming Saturday, I'm going to be at Allie's event. The other week, we interviewed her on the 15th, and it's in Madison, Wisconsin at the Annex in Madison. It's from 10 to 5. I'll be doing Reiki and sound healing, and my friend actually is going to be, we're going to be going back and forth. She's going to be doing massage as well at my booth. Dave Schrader will be there, and two people from, I think it's the show 28 Days Haunted, and then afterwards there's like a little concert. So that's where I will be this Saturday. I'm looking forward to it.
And just as a reminder, you can get a discounted tickets for that event if you go through the Eventbrite link, which we have in our episode of where we interviewed Allie. If not, and you're in the area and you still want to go, you can buy tickets at the door. They're just not at the discounted price, if I remember correctly from what Allie said. So if you're watching this on the YouTube, it is too late. Sorry. Better luck next time.
Oh, God, that's too funny. Okay. Well,
all right.
I guess should I just go into it then?
Yes. I couldn't think of a
Anchors away.
Anchors away.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks, Charlie. He's got the hat. He's got it ready.
So funny.
I'm so disappointed. This is the first time it's, well, I guess it's come out before, but that I've been here to see it.
Oh, God. That's...
I mean, it's, yeah. We had to close out Nautical Month strong, I feel
We
like.
did. I'm so happy that you came ready.
Oh
You know
my
what?
God.
Our ratings are going to be so high because everyone loves a man in uniform. So
I was looking up like how much the Donald Duck, like the full outfit. It's a lot.
if you came on here with like a blue shirt and a duck beak, I would lose my mind. I could not do this. Like a very low effort Donald Duck, I would be like, no, I'm sorry. I'm signing off. Have fun.
Well, okay. I'll take the hat off then.
No.
I feel like this is okay. Sorry, Jessiy. Let's go.
I can't make you wear anything. I am HR. You can do whatever, but I say 5 more minutes and then you can take it off. Let mom take a picture of you first.
It's so cute.
Oh my God. That's too funny. Okay, well, for Nautical Month, my fiance is actually obsessed with, he calls it shippy shit. So ships and everything like that. So he was actually kind of one of my sources. Or I'd be reading something to him and he'd be like, no, that's not true. Or, do you have this in there? So I didn't really know how to be like, Steve as a source. But yeah, he's very knowledgeable about that. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing the Queen Mary, because originally I was going to do the Titanic, and he was like, well, isn't it supposed to be like spooky stuff? Why would you do the Titanic? The Queen Mary's haunted. Do the Queen Mary. And I'm like, good idea, babe. So pretty much that's how this ended up being the topic for me. So the Queen Mary. It is kind of famous. A lot of people do know about it. So I am going to go through like some history of it first, and then I'll do like some of the ghosty stuff and haunted stuff afterwards. So the Queen Mary is, it's called an RMS, which means Royal Mail Ship. So the Titanic was also RMS Titanic, Royal Mail Ship. Which pretty much means that the ship carries mail as well as like passengers and everything. The Queen Mary is a retired British ocean liner that sailed primarily on the North Atlantic Ocean from 1936 to 1967 for the Cunard Line, which is the line that built the ship. It was built by John Brown and Company in Clydebank, Scotland. She was She was joined by RMS Queen Elizabeth and Cunard's 2-ship weekly express service between Southampton, Cherbourg, Cherbourg, and New York. The Queens were a British response to the express superliners built by German, Italian, and French companies in the late 1920s and early 1930s. Construction on the ship, then known only as, it was called Hull Number 534, began in December 1930 on the River Clyde by the John Brown and Company shipyard at Clydebank in Scotland. Work was halted in December 1931, so about a year later, due to the Great Depression, and Cunard applied to the British government for a loan to complete number 534, as she was called back then. The loan was granted with enough money to complete the unfurnished ship and also to build a running mate with the intention to provide a 2-ship weekly service to New York. So the Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mary were kind of built together pretty much. One condition of the loan was that Cunard merge its operations with the... Aww. I heard a kitty cat.
Harrison, do you have something you would like to add to the story?
I apologize. Jessiy, he is being incredibly rude right now. Please continue.
Oh god, that's too funny. One condition of the loan was that Cunard merge its operations with the White Star Line, another struggling British shipping company, which was Cunard's chief British rival at the time, and which had already been forced by the Depression to cancel construction of its Oceanic. So I'm sure you guys know the White Star Line was the one that built the Titanic and the Olympic. And I think there was another one. Both lines agreed, and so on May 10th, 1934, the companies created a third company, the Cunard White Star Line, to manage their newly combined fleet. Work on Queen Mary resumed immediately, and she was launched on September 26, 1934. So she was started in December of 1930, and she finally got launched on September 26, 1934. Completion ultimately took 3.5 years and cost £3.5 million sterling. I'm not like James, I'm not good with numbers, so I'm not sure what that would be in today's money.
It was money. It was doubloons. Of doubloons.
I can look it up for us.
Lots of millions of dollars. Oh wait, here we go. Scroll down a little bit longer. Equivalent of 310 million in 2023.
Wow.
It's more money than I personally have.
Right? I'm sure more money than all of us combined.
Much more than a sailor's wage, let me tell you that.
Oh. Oh, okay.
They stole his hat. Oh no. I think it's so. That would sound stupid. Like I'm trying to talk in a college class. Very interesting that it's launched the day after Christmas. I don't feel like that's a great time to launch a boat in either Europe or the States. I feel like that's cold. I feel like it's kind of chilly. I know they're supposed to be able to go in the cold, but I feel like that's too cold. I want to be inside. Also, like, it's the day after Christmas. I'm tired. I'm a little sleepy. So very interesting.
Imagine getting cruise tickets on Christmas Day and then getting on the cruise the next day.
No.
Right.
Ugh. It's like families that run like 5Ks on Thanksgiving. No, not for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh god, that's just too funny though. Thinking of that, like running a 5K and going home and maxing on some turkey and mashed potatoes.
No.
Full day right there. So Cunard's chief naval architect George McLeod Patterson, I think that's how you pronounce that, Patterson, was the principal designer. Prior to the ship's launch, the River Clyde had to be specifically deepened to cope with her size, this being undertaken by the engineer D. Allen Stevenson. So pretty much what they had to do was dig in the riverbed, like, until she would be able to go into the water and not like hit the bottom. Which, interesting fact about Boston, that's actually how the Back Bay, as they call it, was made pretty much by moving a bunch of like earth to this one section, which was like riverbeds and stuff, and then just building on top of it. So instead of Boston having like these two big areas of like city, it's all one big area, city. So that was something that we learned over there. I found interesting. And Steve was saying too how that's pretty much how things were done when it came to like ships and stuff. They would like start on land, and then when they would launch it, most of the time they would have to like continuously dig to make sure that there was enough room for the boat to be launched. So yeah, interesting. Another shippy fact from him. Queen Mary sailed on her maiden voyage on May 27th, 1936, and won the Blue Riband. Steve said that's how you pronounce it. That August, the Blue Riband was a title held by whoever could cross the Atlantic Ocean the fastest, or pretty much a dick measuring contest. when I asked Steve what the Blue Riband was, he was like, "Oh, it's pretty much like a dick measuring contest." I'm like, "Babe, how do I word that without saying that? I'll say that as a joke, but how do I put that and not say that?" But yeah, so that's what the Blue Riband was. The Queen Mary lost the title to the SS Normandy in 1937 and recaptured it in 1938, holding it until 1952 when it was taken by the new SS United States, which I think that boat is off the coast of Pennsylvania, I think. So yeah, the Queen Mary.
Wait, off the coast of where?
Isn't it Pennsylvania?
I think Pennsylvania's a landlocked state, so it
Okay.
can't be off the coast of Pennsylvania.
Or it's like it's somewhere over in that area. I can't remember what Steve was telling me about that. It might be like in like one of the rivers or something, like how.
Okay, it might be in a harbor. It's not in It's not off the coast of Pennsylvania. I live off the coast of Pennsylvania. New Jersey's the coast of Pennsylvania.
Oh god, that's too funny. I'm trying to think here, but so yeah, the Queen Mary was like one of the fastest ships like in its time. So when World War II started in September of 1939, the Queen Mary was en route to New York City. Also completing the voyage, the liner suspended its commercial service and was refitted as a troop ship. Reportedly the fastest and largest such vessel during the war, the Queen Mary could reach a top speed of 32.5 knots, which was faster than many German U-boats, torpedoes and stuff, and was capable of transporting more than 15,000 soldiers at a time. On one trip in 1943, it set a record for carrying the most passengers. It had 16,683 people on board, 943 crew, and 15,740 troops. That's a lot of people on a boat. And technically their max capacity, because 15,000 was the max capacity. So they're pretty over capacity there. That had to suck. In October 1942, the ship was involved in a fatal accident near Ireland when it collided with the escort ship, the HMS Curaçao. The way I'll put it in the Discord how it looks, and when I said it, Steve was like, "Oh, I know what you mean. Everybody pronounces that wrong. You're supposed to pronounce it this way." So the Queen Mary was, let's see, some 20 times larger, and it sliced through that cruiser, which sank. Nearly 340 crew members of the Curaçao were killed. So it actually happened with the Titanic too, where it I think the Titanic almost hit like a tugboat or something when it was leaving. And then this one, it was the Queen Mary actually did hit this smaller cruiser and killed 340 people. Which one of the theories about why it's haunted is because of that. Following the war, the Queen Mary was refitted for passenger service, and along with Queen Elizabeth, commenced the two-ship transatlantic passenger service for which the two ships were initially built. The pair dominated the transatlantic passenger transportation market until the dawn of the jet age, or obviously when planes started going really fast and could go over oceans instead of just little areas. Then in the late 1950s, by the mid 1960s, Queen Mary was aging and was not operating at a loss. So kind of almost beyond repair in the 60s. So she was floating for just under 30 years. After several years of decreased profits for Cunard Line, Queen Mary was officially retired from service in 1967. She left Southampton for the last time on, this is kind of funny, October 31st, 1967. So she left Southampton to be not beached, but ported at Long Beach, California, where she still is today. There we go. It's called permanently moored, M-O-O-R-E-D, aka docked. So she left Southampton on freaking Halloween to be stuck in California. The city of Long Beach bought the ship to serve as a tourist attraction featuring restaurants, a museum, and hotel. The city contracted out management of the ship to various third-party firms over the years. It took back operational control in 2021. So it seemed like there were some issues financially for a little while, and then in 2021 that kind of got fixed. which that was during the time where you weren't allowed to go anywhere, which is interesting because the one show that I watched, the Holzer Files, which I used for some of this, that is when they were actually able to go on the ship and investigate with nobody there. You can't do that at that ship. Like, it's a tourist attraction. So there's always, and it's a hotel, so people are always going to be there all the time. Like, you can't get, like, concrete evidence, I guess you could say, where there's no contamination, or it's really, really hard to. But Holzer Files went there, I believe, in 2021 or 2022, and stayed there. And then they got, like, a lot of really interesting evidence on the show that I was watching with Dave Schrader. So that's one thing that would be a dream for a paranormal investigator. Go sit on that ship. It would be terrifying, though, because it's like little you and like 2 people on this gigantic ship with nobody else. So, some interesting facts about the Queen Mary. During World War II, the Queen Mary earned the nickname Grey Ghost, a reference to its speed and battleship gray color. Fact number 2, Adolf Hitler allegedly... What?
I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
just to interrupt. If I remember correctly, there was something about her being repainted too, right? Like from a not a commercial, but the mail liner to the warboat. I thought they painted her gray. Okay.
Yeah, so they painted her gray during the wartime so she would blend in more, instead of the white, red, and I think black on the bottom.
Yeah. Sorry if you said that and I missed it, but yeah.
It's okay. So fact number 2, Adolf Hitler allegedly offered a sizable reward to any German U-boat commander who sank the Queen Mary. However, according to reports, the ship was never even fired at. Fact number 3, by the end of the war, the Queen Mary had transported some 810,000 troops. So going back and forth, that's what she did during World War II, was transporting troops. I think fact number 4, the liner was also known as the Ship of Woods, WOODS, because it featured some 50 types of wood in it. And then the last interesting fact before we get into some haunted stuff is its sister ship, the Queen Elizabeth, was in service from 1940 to 1968. While being converted into a seagoing university, it caught fire and sank in 1972. So that, I didn't know that, so that was interesting. Thank you to Steve. All right, so a little bit of the haunted history. This is going a little bit quicker than I thought it would. I'm like, I hope I got enough. So haunted history of the Queen Mary. The Queen Mary has been named one of the world's top 10 most haunted places by Time magazine, and its haunting history is punctuated by at least 49 onboard deaths, including a crew member who was crushed by a hatch during a routine drill, a young girl who drowned in one of the pools, and a ship's officer who mistakenly drank poison thinking it was gin. So what makes the Queen Mary unique among other haunted places in the world? The amount of observed phenomena grew so great that in the early 1990s, the company overseeing the Queen Mary at the time contracted professional anormalist and parapsychologist Christopher Chacon, I think, Chacon, to undertake an extensive and thorough scientific investigation of the phenomenon. And I can't remember how long they were actually doing that, but pretty much 30% of all of the evidence that they collected could not be debunked. So I think 70% was, kind of debunked, possibly debunked, and then 30% was 100% they could not figure out, like, where it came from, so that couldn't get debunked. Another reason why some people think it might be so haunted is the decks on the Queen Mary still sport their original wood flooring, so all the decks are still original. So just think about, like, how much, like, blood and God knows what else was on the wood. Depending on who you ask, some areas on the Queen Mary are said to be more haunted than others, with a wide variety of different phenomena being experienced in every area. For example, many have heard a little girl's voice in the pool room where little Jacqueline Torrin, aka Jackie, drowned. She was only around 5 years old at the time of her death, and guests often hear her calling for her parents. There is also John Shutter, who was crushed to death by a watertight door near the boiler room. So they were doing like one of those drills, like in case there's flooding, and he ended up getting crushed to death by one of the watertight doors by the boiler room, which a lot of people are here like screaming and stuff down in that area. And then the little ghost Jackie is actually one of the more famous ones. I believe Dave Schrader got in contact with her on Holzer Files, and then there was another, I can't remember what it was, something else that I watched where you can hear like a little girl's voice where there's like nobody else in the pool room, and because the water wasn't in the pool, it echoed, and it was just really, really creepy.
The irony of drowning inside the boat really upsets me.
Yep. You're drowning in a pool on the ocean. You didn't even drown in the ocean.
Yeah.
I believe there was another child, a boy that drowned in the pool, and I think a woman drowned in the pool as well. In our little Discord chat, I sent a video. It's called BuzzFeed Unsolved Mysteries, and they did the Queen Mary, and that's exactly what one of the guys said. He was like, "That's gotta suck. You're on the ocean in a boat, and you drown in a pool on the ocean in a boat."
It feels bad. The irony doesn't feel good. It does feel bad. Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, let's see. So another area of the ship with frequent reports is the boiler room. Here, people have seen an apparition thought to be that of John Henry, a worker, is that right? Yeah, a worker who passed away while on the job and whose remains were discovered there. So I think what happened was he passed and he was pretty much discovered in that general area. I couldn't find anything like why he passed. There are also screams heard coming from that area, people getting touched, and a lot of EVPs in that area. There's another theory.
Message to all the ghosts out there: stop touching people.
Oh, I got touched last Saturday at my event.
Oh.
That I went to.
Helen, it's rude. Did not touch you without consent.
Yeah,
rude, ghost.
It was a weird feeling. I knew something was behind me. Sorry, this is off topic, but it's just interesting.
No, it's okay.
Something was behind me on the staircase. I was holding some dowsing rods, and I literally felt something go from like the back of my knee up my thigh, like 6 inches. And I was
That's
like,
rude.
Right? I was like, I'm being touched right now. And then I felt it again the opposite way. And I was like, okay, can you please do not touch me? You do not have permission to touch me. And it stopped. But it was just like, this is a weird feeling because I know there's nobody hot behind me. And like I was shaking my leg like, oh, maybe it's a spider. Even though it felt like a snake, if anything, like a snake going up or down my leg. It was weird.
I just feel like you had like a little bit of a creepy ghost and he was like,
You're like, nah.
Well, according to the people that I investigated with that are there all the time, this entity will not give them a name or any information or anything. He just lurks in that stairway and he'll pretend that he's like a demon or Satan, and they're like, you're not. Would you stop telling us that? We know that you're not. And it like tries to freak people out.
He's not giving a name because then you'll go to Ghost HR and be like, Ghost Tomothy is touching me and I don't appreciate it.
Tomothy,
yeah.
That's a new one.
You don't.
Oh god, that's too funny. Let's see. So where was I? Okay, yeah, I was talking about people getting touched in like the boiler room area. Another theory on why this certain area is haunted, like highly haunted, like the boiler room area, is where the ship crashed into the Curacao. So the one ship that it pretty much decimated through, like it cut through it like butter. So the screams from the people that died from that crash are heard, as well as apparitions of men and people getting touched in that area as well. And I know there's been investigations, and they've gotten people like screaming for help in that area. And then in the Holzer files, this is something that I found interesting. Steve actually didn't know this, but the Queen Mary actually did transport POWs during World War II. A lot of people just think that it was just a transporter ship for servicemen and stuff, but it actually housed POWs as well. So there's this one area called the rope locker. In the area the ship is supposedly where some of these German POWs were kept. Paranormal investigators have gotten voices on recorders saying that they died of heat in there from the steam, because they were I think they were close to the boiler room. So their skin would be if you're in a room full of steam, it was a small room too, maybe 12 by 10 or something. It wasn't a big room, and they were all tied together in this area, and then their skin just started to bubble off because of the steam from the ship, because it's a steam ship. So they were kept in that area with no ventilation, and there's no ventilation, and they were not given any water. There have been experiences of being grabbed and then having the area that got grabbed being burning, that person just got burnt. So that actually happens quite a bit in that general area. So it's the around the boiler room seems to be really crazy. In the Holzer files, there's this equipment called the Obulus, and it pretty much speaks out words, there's a word bank in it, and it said hurt, and then I think it said died or something, and Shane was well, how did you die? And then it said burned. So I was well, that's interesting. So that's one of my favorite episodes actually of that. One other area that is known to be haunted, which according to Steve, we're gonna stay in this room, so I'm not looking forward to this, is room B340, but it's also been known, I think, as room 322 or 222. I know there was a 22 in there somewhere, but they changed the room number. This is one of the most haunted rooms on the ship. One of the things that happened there was Walter James Addison was found dead with no cause. I think he was a captain, Commodore. There we go. That's the right word. And he was just found dead in the room. They could not figure out what happened. And apparently this is interesting. So Joan will love this. Apparently back in the 60s, during one of the final transatlantic cruises, before the ship was docked in Long Beach, a man went crazy and brutally murdered 2 women. His crimes were discovered, and he was locked in his third-class stateroom, either B222, B224. The door was locked, and a guard was posted outside. A little while later, he started pounding on the door, saying someone was in there with him, trying to kill him. The guard ignored him, thinking it was a ruse to escape. After a while, the passenger quieted down, and the guard figured he went to sleep. The next day, when the ship arrived in New York, the crew summoned NYPD detectives, and they went to apprehend the murderer. When they opened the door to the stateroom, they found the man had been ripped apart and his entrails and limbs spread all over the room. There was no way he could have done that to himself. And I was trying to find, if there was an article in, New York Times or something. I suck at searching on the internet, so I couldn't find it, but if anybody can find to see if that's, actually a true story, in the newspaper, that would be cool.
I feel like I've heard that story before, but not in association with a boat, something with a hotel. So I'm not sure if that's an urban legend at that point, because I have heard something similar to that, but I don't remember it being with a boat. I remember it being a hotel instead.
I think.
And I want to clarify why you think I would like that, because I don't.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, is there something about Joan I don't know?
I'm not into women
I could
murder.
just see the true, I guess the true crime urban legendy.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I'm
I like that portion.
Joan would like
Okay.
this.
Clarify to the audience that, like,
No, Joan.
yeah,
loves
no,
that.
Joan
Yeah.
will love this. He murdered 2 women. Oh no.
Oh god, that's too funny. But yeah, I was reading this one and I was just like, oh, this is interesting. I think Joan will like this part. I'm gonna throw this in here.
I do like a good mystery. That is true. That is specifically true about me.
Oh, it's too funny. Let's see. So where was I? Oh, and one other little fact that I actually found, was that in the 1950s, there was a lady found outside her cabin bleeding out. There were no explanations as to why or how this happened. She has been seen around B340. She's called the lady, the lady in white of the ship. So that's another strange death that happened on that ship right around room B340. A lot of the legend around that room too is people will go in there and have chest pains. Supposedly people have gone in there and had heart attacks as well, because I believe that's where Walter James Addison was found dead with like no cause. So people think that his spirit is there and they're feeling his spirit pretty much. I believe that's the room that Dave Schrader stayed in Holzer Files. And he actually, you could hear footsteps like right outside the room. And he went outside and there was nothing there. And then the footage that he got was really neat. He had his camera looking around and he panned to the left. And then where his room was, you could see this silhouette of like an old-timey white dress, like with the hem on the bottom and everything. It was really, really neat looking. So that's where the lady in white kind of came into. The Commodore that they were talking to for that show, he's the one that brought up that, oh, you caught the lady in white of the ship. And he was like, wait, I caught the what? I didn't know about this story. So yeah, in the 50s, this woman was just outside of her cabin, bleeding to death, and nobody knows what happened to her. She just bled to death and died outside of her cabin. So now she haunts the ship. And I think
That's okay. I feel like that's very dramatic of her. I'm sure there's a first aid kit somewhere on that ship.
in the 50s, like,
They had first aid kits in the 50s. It was a wartime ship. It had first aid. There's probably a physician on it, honestly.
oh, that's too
That's
funny.
just, I'm like, good for her. If she want, you know what? It was Los Angeles. Why not? I guess it wasn't Los Angeles yet. It's fine. Just be a little dramatic. It's okay.
So
That blood is never coming out of the teak, though. Teak is so hard to clean. I'm assuming it's teak wood. So hard.
well,
I watch Below
it
Deck, I
is
know.
made with 50 different types of wood, so I'm sure
It's
teak
true.
wood is in there somewhere.
Probably. She probably specifically found the teak wood to bleed on. That would be me if I'm being dramatic. Because I love women murder. Just kidding. I hate it. Charlie, do not clip that out of context. I do not
Right.
do not like women murder. I believe all women should be alive at their own will. That's what I think.
Oh, that's too funny. Well, that's pretty much everything that I put down, because that was actually like 4 pages worth of stuff. I just went through it pretty quickly. I mean, there's lots and lots more, but I was trying to like narrow down like a little bit of history, a little bit of haunted stuff as well.
Yeah.
Same with like the theories of why the ship is haunted in certain areas. And according to Steve, he's like, oh, in a couple years, we're going to do this. So he said that we're going to drive to Colorado. We're going to stay there for a couple days, and then we're going to drive down to Long Beach, and we're going to stay in the Queen Mary for a couple days, and we're renting out room B340. And I'm like, if one of us dies, that's your fault. You wanted to do it.
I would check if that's like the Washington Hotel where like you need to do that like years in advance.
you
I
do.
would just
You
double
do.
check that. Yeah.
The sites I was on, it said, to book room B340, please call blah, 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 blah number. And I'm like, I want to call it and just out of curiosity, like, hi, I wanted to, when's the next available date? Oh, 2027. I'm sorry, what? No. Oh, God.
Unfortunately, 2027, it's not that far off.
Yeah.
You said that. I was like, that's a bizarre date. And I was like, that's 3 years. Okay. But like, I'm sure they also like want you to sign like release forms and stuff. They'll be like, these are the rules about filming and whatever.
Yeah.
That's,
probably.
yeah. I mean, good on him. Choose wisely when you're driving to Colorado, because that sounds like a horrendous drive otherwise.
It's actually as long as Massachusetts. It's about 15 hours.
Oh, I meant with snow.
Oh.
That's why I said watch the time of year.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. I mean, snow is not great in either direction, but I would argue it's a little, I guess it's flat until it's not anymore.
City being higher up and stuff. I have a friend that actually grew up in Colorado, and he would always talk about how the winters there were so much different than here because they're higher up, so they're closer to the sun and stuff. I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. It's interesting.
This is such an East Coast thing to say, but like the winters out west are different. But they really are. They're not as like when you're in the East Coast and it's like wet and cold, like it's wet and cold at the same time. Being out west, because my brother lives out west and we've like skied. The idea that you could go up a certain amount of altitude and it's snowing, but then you could go back down to base and it's like a 50-degree day is unheard of.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
yeah, it's a very different. It's such a different cold. It is dry. This is like now weather talk. It's dry out there, so drink a lot of water.
Very true.
Yeah, but that's interesting. Would any of you all want to stay on the Queen Mary? Why and why not? Tell me your reasons. Go.
So, okay, here's an interesting thing that kind of tangential. Friend of the family, kid around my age, he was really into Pokemon. And as you might know, in the Pokemon games, there's the SS Mary, which is actually based on the Queen Mary, and you have to go there and face your rival and all that stuff. So my buddy, or this family friend, he was really good at Pokemon the card game. And in fact, he was so good, he was like second in the world at one point.
Wow.
And
wow.
For getting that high in the tournament, he actually won a night on the Queen Mary because it's based on that.
That's cool.
Is the Queen Mary water type or ghost type Pokemon?
Hey, maybe it could be a crossover.
Is there water and ghost type?
Yeah.
Justin, if you're watching, tell me.
I mean, I think there should be. Maybe there's not.
I don't know. There's motorcycle Pokemon now, and I'm very confused about what's happening in the Pokemon universe.
Charlie actually had to say the card game. Like when I was playing Pokemon, that's all there was. There was the Pokemon card game.
I don't know if the Pokemon. I mean, it had to have. I don't know if it really took off. I don't feel like the rules were very like. I know everything's based on like Magic the Gathering at this point, but like I'm not sure.
Well, there's the Pokemon Go that everybody was messing with, and we're being stupid with. I'm not gonna watch traffic. I'm gonna catch this Pokemon that's in the middle of the road.
I still have some people I know who play.
I know people who play as. I want Pokemon Go, but I want a version of it that's the Nintendo dogs, and I just find different virtual dogs everywhere, and then I keep them.
Right.
Someone get on that.
I kid you not, in my town, there was a lady that had a scooter, and then connected to it, she had this whole setup, and it had like 9 different phones on it. And she'd all have them open. have them all open with Pokemon Go, and she would just scooter around town catching Pokemon.
But that did not answer my original question, Charlie. Good try skirting around it. I appreciate that. Would you stay on the Queen Mary?
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay.
It sounds fun.
Okay. Okay, would you?
I would stay on the Queen Mary. Probably not in any of the super active rooms, but I'd probably stay on the ship.
Yeah, I want to ghost.
I'm gonna throw it out there. I don't know if I would, but I also don't think I would like cruise ships because of how big rooms are and things like that. And that's my reason. Nothing to do with the ghost. I just don't think it'd be comfortable.
Well, I think.
But I'd be like maybe a night. I would do a single night.
Right. So the one show, the BuzzFeed Unsolved Mysteries. One of the guys on there, his name's Shade. We found out grew up 10 minutes from here, from my house in Schaumburg.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, what?
Yeah.
And so we watched, when we were watching that one yesterday, they stayed in the room B340, but it wasn't furnished. So they were literally laying on concrete. And then, I'm not sure what year they went there, but that's just like interesting how the room was just barren, because if I remember right, people were not allowed to stay in that room because of the random heart attacks and people having like chest pains and stuff. And the company didn't want to get sued. So nobody was allowed to stay in that room. Why they are now and why it's fully furnished, I have no idea. I mean, probably the touristy factor of it. And like you were saying, you probably have to sign a waiver. Like, if I should die, I will not blame so-and-so.
I was about to say they got a better lawyer and a better waiver.
All right.
It had to be pre-pandemic because I think they switched. I think they left BuzzFeed around 2020
Yeah.
to do their own channel.
Yeah.
So it had to be pre-pandemic.
Oh, no, yeah.
I wonder if it was just when.
Because
Do we know when it got converted to a hotel?
2021. That was the.
Oh, okay. So yeah.
Well, it's always been a hotel, but there were some rooms that like weren't furnished. So it's been like a hotel and restaurant since the 60s. But that one room nobody was allowed to stay in. And I believe like it's since 2021 or something like that. Or they redid it, because there's some of the footage I've seen on different shows, nothing in that room whatsoever. And then there's footage I've seen on other shows where it's fully furnished. And I know when Holzer Files was there, I believe it was in 2021. And that's when it was like really nicely furnished. Like, that's a big room for a boat.
For a boat. I mean, like, I would assume it has to be because they, like, unlike cruise ships, they can limit the number of guests that are coming on and how long they're staying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, falling asleep on a boat is very nice. The rocking of the waves is real nice if you don't get seasick, which I know you're not really out at sea, but some people can do it on the dock. It's pretty impressive.
I actually thought I was going to get seasick back last year in June when we went back to Massachusetts. I got a whale watching thing for us to do in Cape Ann. And I took motion sickness stuff just to be safe. Like, I brought it with me and everything. I've never really been on a boat. So I was like, oh God, I hope it doesn't happen. I want to have fun. And Steve's walking around. He hasn't been on a boat since high school, and he's walking around like it's nothing. And he's like, babe, I swear to God, in a past life, I was a shippy person, because this is natural to me. I know how to walk on a boat. I'm like, sure, babe. I mean, I
do believe the technical term is a shippy boy. That is correct. That is the nautical technical term is shippy boy.
Let me just say, like, I've been on quite a few boats in my life, but every time I get on, I'm immediately like, yeah, I was a pirate in a past life. Like, this is for me. Maybe that's just a guy thing. I don't know.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Oh God.
My parents own a motorboat, and so like they've owned it since I was like 7. So like my job is to like throw the anchor, and I'm very okay. Here's the thing about men on boats is like they'll try to if anything goes wrong with someone's boat, all the men gather together and look at the thing and yell directions at the one guy, but they're different directions, and the one guy that's working on it just does whatever the guy was doing. It's the weirdest toxic form of masculinity I've ever seen in my life, where they're like mansplaining but not listening at the same time. It's very bizarre. Anyway, I throw a good anchor, and if a man corrects me on how I throw my anchor, I get very upset. And I often joke that someone will one day fall in love and appreciate me for my nautical capabilities. I have a husband. He is less impressed about me throwing an anchor. But you know what? My father does tell me, maybe this is my daddy issues. I should talk to my therapist. My dad, every time I toss the anchor, he's like, that was a good toss. And I was like, that's right, it was. That's right, it was. I got it down. Like, I throw an anchor, and I can also throw the rope to the other boat that we're tying up with. I'm good. I got it. You need a boat person. I'm good. This is my could you land a commercial jet if it was That's not true. I don't think I could like anchor a yacht. I don't know what knots are. I don't know what the wind does. But yeah.
Oh my god, that's too funny.
I did find something interesting because I looked up that story real quick just to see, what I could find on Google. And skepticalinquirer.org says
organization.
On July 22nd, 1964, Tingler hanged himself with an extension cord after taking the lives of his wife and daughters. But the murder-suicide happened at the family's home in Roanoke, Virginia. I think I said that right. Yeah, Tingler was suffering from acute depression as well as financial problems. His employer had filed a larceny charge against him earlier that day. Tingler had a note in his shirt pocket attempting to justify his actions. What does any of this have to do with the Queen Mary? I did find some entries in the ship's log that answer this question. Jill's mother, who had been visiting the family from England, boarded the liner that morning for her return trip home. Once at sea, the ship received news of the event by telegraph.
Oh.
So I did find that, but the self-disembowelment to me is a lot more exciting, so I think we should do that one.
We should. Something you didn't know about Kay. This was something that excites her.
Yes.
Right. Joan likes the urban legendy, and Kay likes the entrails.
Yeah. Girl things.
Oh,
just girls being girls.
Just girly things.
It's girly things. My husband.
Poor Charlie.
I had a discussion about being a girl's girl last night, and he literally wrote to a coworker because she seemed sad. And he said oh, if you need someone to talk to, I can. And I was like, oh, tell her that if she doesn't, I'll also talk to her. So he literally put in his Teams message, or you can talk to Joan. I hear she's a girl's girl.
Oh my god.
Thanks, honey.
Oh, that's too fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess should we do final thoughts? It's 9:55 already.
Yes. You said 9:55, and I looked at the clock, and it's not 9:55, but it is for you.
For me, sorry.
It went.
Should be 55
no, it's okay.
after.
No, you're not incorrect. I just went what?
That's so
I went
funny.
No, silly.
And
it's
then
not 9:55. That's when we
Charlie.
start.
What is it? 7:55.
7:55.
It's still daylight where they are. They still have the sun up.
Right.
Although it's rainy here today.
It's raining here too, but it's supposed to be 95 2 days from now.
Oh,
Before
God.
we go, you know what I did this weekend? It was two of my favorite things. First off, I had someone watch Twilight for the first time. I love introducing people to Twilight.
So fun.
But we watched it projected on our friend's wall while we were in a hot tub.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
It was
That's
so
funny.
fun. And also we turned the hot tub lights blue so it would match the film.
It was
my
within
God.
the last couple of years that Hunter watched the Twilight Saga for the first time, and I knew that twist in the last movie was coming, and Getting to watch somebody live through that twist again was just amazing.
I
saw
love
that in
watching.
theater.
I mean, like, I saw Twilight in theaters, and I had a non-formed brain. I had like 2 wrinkles at the time when it came out, and I thought it was amazing. And now that I'm older, I'm like, ugh. I've discovered a re-love for it by hate watching it, but now I know too many stupid facts about it.
I read
So
the
when I
books
watched-
first. I read
Yes.
the books and I liked the books and I was excited about the movie coming out. And this is hilarious because what the hell does this have to do with nautical anything?
It has. Okay, I said it because it's raining, and I almost made a joke that Charlie lives in Forks. And I was like, that's not gonna land because they don't understand my weekend. So sorry. Go on, Jessiy.
That's funny.
And you know what? They're vampires. That's like creepy.
Yeah.
Dracula was on the boat from Europe to England. He killed all the sailors. That was part
He
of the book.
was.
They made a movie just out of that for some reason.
I'm trying to think of what my favorite fun fact. Oh, one of my favorite fun facts about Twilight is the scene where they're introducing all the Cullens, and they walk in, and Emmett Cullen's the first one to go in. He is just carrying a bag, a clear bag of hard-boiled eggs.
I've never noticed that.
No one does. He's just carrying a bag of hard-boiled eggs. Also, anytime Bella eats or drinks in that movie is stupid. She does not eat or drink properly. There's the first scene where she just plays with a carrot near her mouth. And then she like puts ketchup on, but she does it like this.
That's the scene.
And then there's another scene where she takes a sip of water, looks at it and goes, and just stops. Anytime she eats. It's my favorite. So anyway, yeah. If you want to watch Twilight like a true fan should, I highly suggest doing it while in a hot tub and listening to me go, "Did you see the eggs? Did you see the eggs?"
We need to record a DVD commentary of just the eating scenes from Joan.
We should do a Twilight watch party where it's just all of either the whole thing or just the really awkward scenes.
That's the whole movie.
I'd do it. I'd do a Twilight watch party with you guys.
Twilight. I would love to do a watch party. I would love that.
Hey, tell us in the chat or in the Discord if you want to join the Discord. If you would like to, get in on a Discord movie night and have Joan narrate the eating scenes.
Everyone's open to narrate. I will just be on screen asking, "Did you see the eggs?" And then reminding people that Stephenie Meyer's not actually the nicest person. So just remember that. But also she's in the movie too.
That's right.
She pulled a Stanley and is in the movie. Okay, now we can move on to final thoughts because I've given that. I will go last. Who wants to go first?
Well, I was amazed. I did not know that the Queen Mary was in service during the war. Thought that was very interesting. And Eve, the story that Hitler had a personal bounty against it, I thought was humorous.
Right.
If you have not looked up the Queen Mary swimming pool, specifically like the first class swimming pool, you should. I don't know why I love swimming pools and it kind of freaks me out. It's a weird pool. I don't know, just got bad vibes
That people drown in.
on the water. And also questioning if they drown outside the boat, it's man overboard. What do they do? Somebody's drowning in the pool.
Right. Oh, that's too funny. I guess my final thought, I don't know. I've always been fascinated with the ship. I want to go ghost hunting on it one day. It would be really cool. The one thing that I actually did not know or that I found interesting also was the the Hitler thing. I think Steve said that once before. Steve actually did not know that there were POWs on it because I brought it up. He's like, no, there weren't. And I'm like, yeah, babe, all this stuff's fact checking itself. Like, there were POWs. He was like, I didn't know that. And he's Mr. I know everything nautical. So I thought that was funny.
Because he is a shippy boy.
Yep.
Shippy
He's a boaty boy.
He's gonna watch
You can
this
tell
episode
him-
and hate me.
He can hate me. I can't. I mean, I didn't come up with the title. It is a technical nautical term. It is boaty boy, shippy or boaty boy, depending on the size of the vessel. I believe that is the difference between those two things. Okay. For my final thoughts, one, I would like to thank everyone who came in to watch the final episode of Nautical Month. We're calling land ho now, and we are going to be back on kind of dry land. We're talking about Oban, which comes from an island nation, so like mostly dry land. Next week, we wish that Jessiy, James, and Frank will enjoy their time off. But you don't get time off, audience. You need to listen to us. Once again, as Charlie said, please let us know if you want to do a Twilight watch along. That sounds fun. And for my final thought, I'm glad that Jessiy taught me so many things today, and especially glad that she did not teach me something new about myself. And I do not like women being murdered. I do not like it. Sam, I am.
Oh my god.
So, whatever Frank usually says, something about thanking your mother. Okay.
Oh Jesus.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys in September for me.